Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I got a request to look at Ethereum again. I looked at last week, and since then we had a weekly and a monthly close. So yeah, I'm happy to revisit this. This is one of my biggest cryptocurrency holding. I don't have as much as Bitcoin, but it's up there. So I'm very much bullish on Ethereum. So let me kind of talk a little bit as to why that is. If you want to look at the market symmetry, you want to look at cycles, you want to see how these levels all hit. And some people don't believe in this, and it's okay if you don't. But I'm just basically going to show you how I do this based on what I've learned from the great Matsby and so on and so forth. You basically have the magnet there. You look at the lowest price, and you want to do the monthly lock-in here. And what I'm going to do is 360. Usually these should be multiple of 45s. So 360 here. And I'm going to make the ratio a even number, which is very important to do to keep your bias as low as possible. So again, no pun intended, you do a Gantt chart here, you're going to see this beautiful market symmetry. And I'm not really like adjusting the Gantt or anything like that. I just typed in a few numbers and this came up, right? What it really did show you is that the chart that's available on Bitstamp from the lowest point is that each of these cycles hit some of these arcs up around here and backtest some of the arc, went up to an arc up here, backtest the arc below, and it finally pushed through this arc over here during this cycle. It didn't really hit the arc up here. Some people argue that there's a little bit of a truncation here on the wave 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The wave 5 was prematurely truncated. It didn't really hit the natural level it was supposed to hit, which is the arc up here. And rather than doing that, it just came back tested the bottom of this arc over here, and then just kind of hover around the horizontal zone over here, like it did during the last bear market. And right now, it looks like we're finding some support, right? It could potentially go up higher. Now, the question is, what is causing this resistance right here? And what kind of support are we having right here? Could we have enough support to potentially propel price up to this arc over here, or even potentially to this horizontal line up here? Currently the arc, if it hits, let's say theoretically, if it hits around Q3 or Q4 2025, it could be anywhere from around 8 or 9,000 to around 13 to 14,000, somewhere around there, right? If it hits the horizontal line up here, it's going to be around 23,000. So the question is, again, what kind of resistance did it hit over here, and what kind of support are you having over here? Well, the way to kind of look at that is if you look at the Fibonacci levels, and we're not talking about looking at this cycle over here. Let's look at the last cycle before that, right? Again, magnet on, top price here, bottom price for the cycle right down here. And if you do this Fibonacci level here, you can already tell a couple things. One thing is that the last cycle ended almost exactly or near the 3.618 Fibonacci extension level. And what it ended up doing is it ended up just kind of came back down, retraced what it hit. It hit the golden ratio here at the 0.618, found perfect support right here. Went back up above here, got support here, the horizontal line here on the Gantt, and then pushed back up, trying to break the 2.618, was not able to, came back down. Where did it go down to? The 1.618 here, so far as holding, right? So that's one reason as to why you're having some resistance here, you're having some support here. Another reason is if you just simply look at the monthly Ichimoku cloud. I'm going to zoom in to kind of give you a better picture in terms of what we're seeing here. You look at a monthly Ichimoku cloud, what you're really seeing here is that price has broke through the cloud and basically come back and back tested the cloud for months number 1, 2, and 3. And right now, we are back right here at the cloud over here. So this is a classic breakout of a resistance level here and back testing as support. If the support over here holds, that's going to be incredibly bullish for Ethereum moving forward. Now, if you don't just look at Ichimoku, you also look at the Super Ichi, you can also see the same thing. It kind of broke through the Super Ichi cloud and came back down and back tested the Super Ichi cloud right here so far for 3 months in a row. If it's able to hold support here at the Super Ichi, that could be incredibly bullish moving forward, right? But just look at how everything kind of fits, 1.618, the Ichimoku, and the Super Ichi. Like, we're not making stuff up here. And we are also seeing a lot of great market symmetry. So I think we're at a good spot between 1.618 Fibonacci extension level from the last cycle over here. And also between the Ichimoku cloud and the Symmetry cloud, I think we've got some pretty decent support here. I think once we're able to really solidify the support level here, the next part is comparing the gravitating up. And if you ask me where is it going to gravitate up to, I just talked about it. I think it's going to potentially go to the arc and potentially going up here to the horizontal line over here. Now, if you're looking at a Fibonacci extension level from the last bull market rather than the one from the previous one, you can see that some of the higher levels up here, which is going to be especially the 2.618, is going to be right around the arc around here. So 11,000, so on and so forth. I can totally see that cycle hitting up there at around the arc, right around here, you know, around 2.618 Fibonacci level. I can also see it potentially going higher. One other way to kind of look at it is instead of looking at this, so I'm going to draw this here again, instead of looking at this through the linear scale, you can also look at it through the log scale. And the log scale 1.61 is going to be around 14,000. So I can potentially seeing it hitting up here by the end of 2025 here as well. And that could potentially be a good resistance level to end the cycle. Or if it ends up breaking through, there's always a possibility to hit, you know, some of these higher levels up here around 23,000. That's also a possibility, right? But I would say that this arc over here might be kind of where we end up having our bull market being ended right there. Now, a couple other things too makes me very bullish for the most part. I'm going to turn off the Ichimoku and get rid of the Fibonacci here. One thing that's very important to think about, and this is also available in TradingView as well, very easy to find, is this anchored VWAP thing. The anchored volume weighted average price basically just tells you, let's say for example, if you bought the top here in January 2018, if you click that, you can see that it was initially serving as resistance here. This is basically the average price that the holders that end up starting buying here would be currently at right now. So basically over here, everybody got to the point where it's like, oh man, you know, I'm like a little bit underwater. I'm finally breaking even. I'm going to sell. So that's going to be a resistance level here, right? Break back, serve as support over here, broke through, went up a lot higher, right? So that is exactly what happened during last cycle. What about this cycle here? Well, let's look at the previous all-time high over here, right? Click on that. What are you going to see? Well, you're going to see a lot of people got up to here like, oh, you know, I'm so underwater and finally get to the price where I could sell for break even. So I end up selling over here, right? And you end up breaking through. And right now, what do we end up doing right now? We end up back testing the level over here. So the question is, what happened after you had a resistance being flipped as support, right? What happened when you have a resistance, you flip as support, right? Price may end up going a lot higher. In the last cycle, it ended up pushing through the arc and up going up here to the 3.618 Fibonacci extension level. And this cycle, who knows, maybe we end up hitting an arc up here, maybe we end up hitting a horizontal line up here, right? I think all of those things are definitely possibilities because we are flipping things from resistance to support, and that's a very important concept to be able to grasp. Another thing too I would like to always look at is the 20-month moving average. Now, whenever you have a 20-month moving average that has turned from positive sloping to negative sloping, that's when a bear market occurs. And a lot of times these negative sloping 20-month moving average can serve as a little bit of resistance here. And until you flip it from resistance here to support. Now, once you flip from resistance to support, guess what happens? These longer moving averages, monthly moving averages, once you're able to find support and once the line is starting to curve from negative to positive, it really tells you a more bullish trend is happening, and you can potentially have a pretty strong bull market that happen afterwards, kind of like how it happened over here. Now, what do we have so far? We have the 20-month moving average. I'm going to zoom here so you can see a little bit better. We have a 20-month moving average that has served as resistance over here, have basically flipped from negative sloping to positive sloping. And we have back tested the 20-month moving average here as from resistance to support. And we have a very nice tweezer bottom over here, which is generally a very, very good bottom. And so far, we continue to back test the 20-month right here. And it's still a little bit rising. I do think that this back test could serve as a potential force to kind of propel price up a lot higher. That is another thing I want to point at. Now, in addition to looking at that like a 20-month moving average, a simple moving average, You can look a little bit faster, but you can look at it in a little bit of a different number here. We can look at 50. Let's look at 50 exponential moving average. You can see that whenever 50 exponential moving average, whenever price got from underneath, got above of it, generally things explode. And things have been above the 50 month over here for quite some time, for about a year and a half. It's building a lot of energy, and the 50-month exponential moving average could potentially be the force to kind of push price up a lot higher over time too. So there are a few things here I'm really seeing that I feel very positive on. And finally, I want to end the note with the Ethereum over Bitcoin chart. And with this is a ratio chart, so I don't need to do a logarithmic scale. And doing a linear scale, you can basically just tell that Ethereum has really been underperforming Bitcoin ever since December 2021, severely, right? It basically have dropped like half the value against Bitcoin for the last 2.5 years, 3 years almost, right? Just plummeted down, right? Now, whenever things kind of plummeted down like that, you have to think about, is this kind of a little bit of a falling knife? It could be, but you also have to take into consideration a couple of things. One is, right now, dropping back down here around 0.04, which basically means that if you Ethereum costs 0.04 of a Bitcoin, that's all it really means, right? It came back down to this ratio, like right around here. There's a huge horizontal zone over here. Basically, this is like a breakout, and a few years later, it came back into a back test. And right now, it looks like we might be holding support here at this horizontal zone. The other thing too is, if you look at the monthly Bollinger Band, you can see how overextended this ratio is to the downside. And whenever you see something that's so overextended, it really does make you think whether or not it has bottomed, especially when you have the horizontal zone over here as potential support that it has not back tested at all until now, and so far it looks like it's been holding, right? Now, if you also look at a couple things here too, I'm going to kind of shift the time frame here a little bit. If you take off the Bollinger Band, but if you look at something called a wave trend oscillator, it's just basically an oscillator to look at. There are a couple of things here to look at here. One is you're starting to have the downtrend so badly that you are having a bullish divergence, where the ratio has continued to gone down since October 2023 for an entire year. But on the weekly chart, what do you have here? You have a bullish divergence where you have the underlying wave trend going from a lot less down here to a lot higher up here, right? So this is a pretty classic bullish divergence that's been building. This is generally, showing you that there is some bottoming behavior here. Now, you can also see the same thing here on a 2-week chart. You see really since October of 2023, it's just been a straight line down, right? But the wave trend oscillator has been pointing up. And, on the weekly here, you have a positive cross over here on the wave trend oscillator. On the 2-week, you're also about to have one over here. On the monthly, you don't really quite have that bullish divergence, but that's okay. You also didn't really have that bullish divergence over here, but that eventually ended up working out as the bottom, right? So the question now is, it also looks like it wants to have a little bit of cross. All price has to do, not price, all the ratio has to do is just kind of go sideways here, just a little bit longer. You might end up having a little bit of a bullish cross over here, right? And I do want to show you one thing. So all of this is basically showing you that the time might be changing. I do want to show you one more thing, and I'm going to let you go. This is the yearly chart of the ratio. The yearly chart of the ratio is, each of these candles is a year, right? And I'm not sure how accurate this is, but this is the Ethereum over Bitcoin chart here on Binance. If you pull up the volume, and they have some volume data available, this looks like a potential rising 3 kind of setup, where you have a big giant green candle. Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin by a lot, and it was happening on high volume, and then you just take a break. The bulls take a break for a couple of years, take a step back, see what the bears do. The bears span year number 1, 2, and 3, really unable to reverse this trend here. So 3 years of Bitcoin trying to outperform Ethereum has not really been able to do that. And guess what the 4th year is going to bring? Or even Q4 potentially. Usually the rising 3 methods goes like this: boom, 1, 2, 3 inside candles, unable to break through this candle over here. Next thing you know, you're going to have a big giant candle that comes and engulfs all 3 of this, and it's going to be a very, very bullish candle, potentially in 2025. And I can totally see that, this is also happening with declining volume here too, which basically tells me that the outperformance of Bitcoin over Ethereum, or the underperformance of Ethereum over Bitcoin, is not necessarily sustainable, and that you could potentially have reversal in this short-term trend over the last couple of years, and Ethereum could potentially outperform Bitcoin. And it could be quite surprising when it does that, because people kind of forgot about it after 3 years. Anyway, just wanted to share my thoughts. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't talk too long about Ethereum. I kept it around 15 minutes. Take care. Bye.